Can you share with us your basic knowledge about the Penns Valley Area School District's academic performance recognitions, finances, and facilities? Thank you. Mr. Ebeling?
Like Mr. Brock, I think we're doing well academically and we're testing well, but I'm at times concerned that we're becoming good test takers, but the kids are, I would like the kids to be well prepared for real life also. And the finances, I think we're in pretty decent shape, but again, I have concerns about buildings that are going up and the cost of that on the facilities. So I know there's a new multi-use gym space going up, and our locker rooms are being redone, which is all well and good, but I'm just worried about finances in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Hyde?
Sure. Can't say much more than what's been said about standardized tests. One of the gauges I use is how well my kids are doing and what they're learning. And you know, my daughter brought home homework the other day. She's in 4th grade, where she's solving for X, things I didn't do until 8th grade. And so I'm very happy with progress there. And obviously, as Mr. Hauser mentioned, our PSSA testing has been very good. The financials, you know, I would just echo, you know, what Chris said. You know, we do have a significant debt load that was put upon us several years ago. And this board over the past several years has done a good job to refinance that debt, pay down that debt, to save us hundreds of thousands a year. So I think it's been managed pretty well. I can't really speak to the facilities question as much as maybe some others can. But my family and I have facilities we've been involved with, PE and Center Hall, been very happy with those.
What do you believe will be the most difficult decision the board will need to make in the next 5 years or so? Thank you. Mr. Ebeling?
I believe our challenge for the future is definitely financial. I think there's a lot of infrastructure changes coming, and also maintaining what we have and paying for the new gym that's coming up. And on the education side, as far as I know, we're going from No Child Left Behind, PSSA, to PA Common Core. So I think that'll be a change and a challenge in the academic end.
Thank you. Mr. Hyde?
So obviously, sort of well documented at this point, the 40% a year increase in retirement costs, 15 to 16% a year in healthcare costs. You know, I came in here prepared to talk about what I believe someone from the State College School District, you know, we know that's coming. What I'm really concerned about is the ability to prepare our kids to compete in a global environment in light of all those things that are happening. So we're going to have to balance those two things and make really good decisions about what's going to affect their ability to compete, to get into the good colleges, to get the good jobs, and to succeed, whatever that means for them in light of these other things. So it's going to be a tough balancing act.
Several people question recent school construction projects, such as the 2 new gyms that they don't feel are adequate to serve the community's needs, an $800,000 locker room project that has grown to an estimated $3 million multi-purpose room, training room, and storage complex. In your view, do these projects justify tax increases, and if so, why? Thank you. Mr. Ebeling?
I've been watching the school board for the last 15 years on and off, and pretty much in detail for the last 2. And the reason I'm running is I was questioning some of the moves as far as the new buildings and the dual bus lines and other expenses. And so I started coming to meetings for the last 2 years and getting more involved, and I thought, you know, instead of getting a second and third job, I try to get it from the other end and try to control my tax bill from the other side.
Mr. Hyde?
Yeah, so to echo what Amy said earlier, it's hard to be last on some of these questions or toward the end. So, you know, in talking with Mr. Griffith, the superintendent, this building project, or at least part of it, was in the 5-year plan for the district to move forward with. That plan is available for the asking, as I understand it. He was certainly open with me in discussing it. And as Chris said, it was paid for with cash. Now, as Joe has said, there will be operating costs, but they're fairly marginal compared to the benefit of having that kind of facility for our children to participate in. And while I couldn't make that school board meeting, my understanding is that the wrestling community in Penns Valley came out en masse to support that event. So, it did have fairly good community support.
How would you balance providing services for students with special needs versus the other children in the district?
I've heard feedback. That's one of the issues that I've heard quite a bit of feedback from people that I've spoken to. When I announced I was running, people would come up to me and say the special needs on both ends, the special needs of the kids and the kids that were gifted were kind of being ignored or subbed out somewhere else. And that's one thing that definitely came up and I would like to address. I'm not sitting on the board now, so I'm not privy to some information, but I've heard a lot of negative statements on that.
Mr. Hyde?
Thanks. So, I agree with what's been said so far. We owe it to all students to provide an ample education. And it's difficult for me from the outside looking in to say here's how I might balance those things, kind of not really knowing all the levers I can pull to do that as a board member and working with the administration. But I think one of the things that was done recently, and it was an opening had been created in the person handling the special education program specifically. And folks I've talked to in the district, they've been very happy with that hire. She's done a great job. So while that may not be a direct answer to the question, it's probably the best I can give, given the information that I have. And I think we're moving in the right direction there.
What do you think of the district's one-to-one technology initiative? And do you think it should be extended to include students at the intermediate and elementary schools? Mr. Hyde? So,
I don't think there's any debate that putting technology in kids' hands is a good idea. It's not the future, it's where we are. And I didn't know, because I didn't have a child of age until a few months ago that we'd done this, and I just thought it was incredible foresight to be able to do that. So I think it's a fabulous idea. I do have a son in 6th grade who is sort of on the cusp of that 7th grade year, and I'm not sure I put a laptop in his hands. He has a hard time keeping his Kindle in place. So there's sort of real concerns about responsibility at certain ages with technology. And so, as Chris said, age-appropriate technology we need to think about. But the more we can get them using those kind of tools, the more competitive they're going to be in the global environment. It's a no-brainer to me if we can afford it.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Ebeling?
I love the idea of technology. I think it's a good idea. I like the example is like the iBook and the Kindle. You can get books on your Kindle and you can touch a word and get the definition right there, whereas like in the old days you had to get your dictionary out to see what the definition of a word was. But now technology like that can help you learn so much faster. The only drawback I think of is like what Mark said. It's like I would set time limits for technology so kids don't forget how to interact in person.
In this audience member's view, recent board appointments were only RCC supporters. If elected, what process would you use to make appointments, and what steps would you take to make all the decisions transparent?
That's a good question. So, if elected, I mean, I frankly don't completely understand the appointment process. I've asked some questions lately about that. In terms of the openness of the interviews and things like that. And I read the policy. And so when the call goes out and those things are vetted, that's what I'm looking for, vetting, deliberation is the word I'm looking for about that. It happens in public. And so I think what I would do is go in with an open mind. RCC's behind us, And so hopefully that isn't an issue anymore, but certainly the issue of openness and transparency. Ask all those questions in a public forum just like this, allow people to answer in a public forum, deliberate in a public forum so that everything is transparent and there's communication throughout.
Thank you. Mr. Ebeling?
I interviewed for a position on the school board. I didn't get it, and I'm running to kind of give the people a choice. If they want me or not, they can vote on November 5th and let me know, I guess. But as far as the transparency goes, the board, as far as I know, can make its own policy to take questions when they want to, and they can allow people to speak more often. And I've heard people say, well, the meetings might go till midnight, and I say, well, that's fine, but we can set time limits of 5 minutes per person if we have to, but we can allow each person to speak, whether it's for 2 minutes or 2 hours, they get a voice.
Mr. Hyde?
Sure. First, thanks to League of Women Voters for organizing and hosting this forum. I chose to run for school board for 3 reasons. First, it provides a great opportunity to positively influence our children and the whole community. Second, I can point to people in my life who invested their time and energy in me to help me achieve my goals, and I view this as another chance to pay back what they've given to me. Third, my background has prepared me to make a positive contribution to the board. I've taught managerial decision-making to farm and food business owners for 13 years as a professor of agricultural economics here at Penn State. I now directly manage a team of 25 staff with a $2 million budget. This has prepared me well for the board, has underscored the importance of development and cultivating healthy relationships. All the talk in this election about communication and transparency speaks of the need for a relationship with the community. I value relationships that allow you and me to be open and honest, yet professional and respectful with each other. From the start of my campaign, I have welcomed your questions and feedback. Many in Penns Valley have taken me up on that offer just as they have tonight. The rest of you have an open invitation to do the same thing. I want to thank the hundreds of folks who supported me in various ways over the past few months. I want to especially thank Mr. Ebeling for running a positive campaign. Very much appreciated. Finally, I thank my Penns Valley neighbors for taking time to learn about me. I've worked really hard to inform you about myself, to earn your vote, and to hit the ground running should I win this election. I appreciate your consideration. If you need more information about me, you can visit my website, hydepvasd.com, or just contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ebeling.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting the forum tonight. I'm Joe Ebeling. I'm running for Penns Valley School Board at large, 2-year term. And I believe all relationships are collaborations, or should be. 2 years ago, the Penns Valley School Board was not like this. People that came to the meetings were not heard. The other night, I was reading about ancient Greece, and back in the 5th century BC, they invented something called democracy. Back then, the voting members not only were allowed to be involved, they were expected to be involved. I'd like to see more collaboration between the public and the Penns Valley School Board if I'm elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking all the candidates for